Now in class we had a look at question 2. You were doing the even numbers for exercise 1404, and we had a quick look at this in class, but we kind of ran out of time. I managed to show you on the board, but let's run through it so you've got something to take away and you've got a record of exactly how these are to be done. So of course when we divide, we always multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. That is, we flip it upside down, we find the reciprocal, and then we multiply. So whenever I see something, this is the thing we're dividing by. We're taking 2c and 3d. So now we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So we see a divide, we think, right, we're going to divide this. So straight away I've got 2c, that implies that, or rather equals 2c over 3d times, and we're going to flip this up the other way. So this now becomes up there, and this goes down there. That's finding the reciprocal. So 7c on 4d. And I could just do that first, and then I could divide it by this over here. But I can also just see the divide and go, oh, well, that must be a times, and we're going to flip this upside down again as well. We're going to find the reciprocal. That's the divisor. It's the thing we're dividing by. So now that's going to be 3d over 5c. Now when multiplying, of course, very easy to multiply fractions. We just go straight across the top. So what have I got here? Well, I've got 2 times 7 times 3, or 2 7s are 14, 3 14s are going to be 42. All right. So then I've got a c times a c times a c is a c squared, and I've got a d. We do them in alphabetical order. All right, we have a vinculum. Now we've got a 3 times a 4 times a 5. Well, 5 fours are 20, and we've got 3 20s is going to be 60. Now we've got a d times a d, which is a d squared, and we've got a c. Now technically, of course, we should sneak that c in before, because we're doing these, of course, in alphabetical order. So it's not very tidy, but you get the idea. All right, so let's have a look. What's common to 42 and 60? Well, they're both divisible by 6. In fact, 42, if we divide 42 by 6, we get 7. So 7 goes into 42, 6 goes into 42 7 times. 6 goes into 60 10 times. So straight away I'm going to rewrite that just so I've done it. We've got, so that's 7c squared d over 10 cd. And you could do this in one go, but I'm breaking it up just for the purposes of doing it bit by bit so you can see as we go along. All right, and that was a d squared, by the way, as well. I nearly didn't write it into the next line correctly. All right, so I can't simplify the 7 and the 10 anymore, but I've got c times c, and I've got a c. So let's get rid of one of the c's on the top, there it is, and one of the c's on the bottom, there it is. We've got a d on the bottom, and we've got a d times a d on the bottom. So d times on the top, a d times d on the bottom. Let's get rid of the d on the top and one of the d's on the bottom, and straight away we've got 7c on 10d. And that's my solution. Now, if you're not quite sure of how I did this bit, you could have written this 7 times c times d over 10 times c times d times d. Now, we know that anything divided by itself is 1. So c divided by c is 1. I can put times 1. We've got nothing else to divide that c by, but I got a d and a d. D divided by d is 1, so I could put another times 1 here. What am I left with? Well, I'm left with a 7. I've got 1c, and that's all. On the bottom, that's a c, not an e. And on the bottom, I've got a 10, and I've got times a d. And there's my solution. So that's the way which we proceed with simplifying and, of course, dividing and multiplying algebraic fractions.